In today's video, we are going to be taking a step into the world of drone flying. So let's get on with it. Roll titles! Welcome to the channel if it's your first time here, and welcome back if it's not. Now today's video should be hopefully fairly exciting. It's been something I've been thinking about doing for a very long time now, but I've finally done it. Yep, I bought a drone. Now you might have remembered when I did the electric bike video, which I'll stick a link up to in the corner, I got some amazing drone footage with the help of my neighbour. And ever since that time really, and even before then, I've been thinking I'd really love a drone just to be able to get you some more interesting footage and just to sort of have a bit of fun with and just see what it's all about, because I love cameras, I love making videos, and just having an extra option of a way to film is just really exciting for me. I've gone for this, and this is the DJI Mini 4 Pro. Now at time of recording, it's DJI's best, most up-to-date small drone, because it is an ultralight drone and weighs only 249 grams. Now that is very specific, because if you've got a drone that's over 250 grams, there are a lot more rules and regulations, especially in the UK, about how and where you can fly them. Now don't get me wrong, there are rules and regulations about how you can fly this, but there are fewer rules and regulations on drones this weight and lower. Now these come in a variety of flavours. I have gone for the sort of, well, the top tier, because I thought if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it properly. So this has got the Fly More kit. So it has got three, count them, 1, 2, 3, 3 batteries with it, which means that I can swap out the batteries relatively quickly and have another one there and ready to go. It comes with a battery charger that can charge 3 batteries at once. And I've also gone for the RC-2, which is the remote control that has a screen on it. There is a remote control that's slightly cheaper, and it doesn't come with the screen, and you use your phone to see what the drone's seeing. But this has actually got its own screen on the remote control, so you can see what the drone is seeing through its camera and get to see the battery life and do all the recording and stuff like that. Now, this isn't cheap. You're looking at around about £900. Obviously, if you go for the model with fewer batteries and also the remote without a screen, it does go down in price. Now, something that the drones don't come with is memory cards. So I've got some nice new memory cards. I always go for SanDisk, and the Extreme Pro stuff is great. That is what these cameras are recording on at the moment. Now I've got 2 micro SD cards because one of them is going in the remote control. You don't need to have one in the remote control. It's entirely optional, but because I'm going to be doing screen recordings and things of what the drone can see and the menus and stuff on the remote control, I thought I'd get a memory card purely for that. One's going in the drone, one's going in the remote control, but they don't come with this, so you have to remember that. Right. Ah, look, if we look at the back of the box, you get to see a bit more of what we're getting. So here's the remote control with a lovely screen. I think it's 750 nits peak brightness. I think I might have got that wrong, but that's a figure that I sort of had knocking around in my head. So ultralight and foldable, less than 249 grams. Omnidirectional active obstacle sensing. So this has got sensors all around it that can detect obstacles. I think the older versions of the drone didn't necessarily have them all around, but this does. So it should hopefully avoid obstacles magically in any direction. It's not always the case, but it seems to work pretty well judging on the videos I've already seen. Intelligent features, focus track, waypoint flight, and hyperlapse. Make it track around an object. And you can make it fly along a certain path. Say for example, if something's being built near you, and obviously when it's safe to do so, you could maybe fly the drone over at different periods following the exact same track and sort of almost have a kind of time lapse of things. That's just a thought that popped into my head. And hyperlapse, and that's sort of essentially a bit like a time lapse really. It can record up to 4K at 100 frames per second, so you can get some nice slow motion stuff. does HDR video. It can take 48 megapixel photos, amazing. And also the gimbal on it can turn the camera around so it can do true vertical shooting. So if you're making content for TikTok or Instagram Reels or Facebook Shorts, you can actually have the camera round so it is shooting vertically. It's really clever. It's got a 34-minute flight time with the batteries, and it can fly up to 20 kilometers away and still be showing you rock solid full HD video on your controller. Obviously that depends on obstacles and things like that, but that is pretty mad. Now the flight time of 34 minutes with the batteries, I think that might be on the slightly optimistic side. That's probably when it's not recording video and maybe when it's not transmitting. A lot of the videos that I've seen online, you're looking at around about 25, 24 minutes per battery. I just want to get it out of the box and get out and have some fun with it. So let's rattle through what's in the box. Okay, so it's got a QR code in the box for the app, and you can watch video tutorials and stuff. Yeah, done that. I've got the app on my phone already, but we'll go from there. Look. Ah. So there's literally nothing else in the box apart from the bag and the contents. So yeah, that is something else you get with this Fly More kit. You get this lovely bag, which I think is perfect. Yeah, it's very, very well padded. Okay, so it says accessories inside. Let's have a look at the accessories that are inside here. Okay, so we've got sort of a quick start guide, some stickers. Oh, it says it's 81 decibels, okay. Yeah, just some stickers and things. What else have we got? Aha! So in this bag, we have got some replacement propellers, because accidents do happen, and yeah, we've got some replacement propeller blades. See, so they're labeled depending where they are on the drone, and you also get a little screwdriver because they need a screwdriver to replace them. And we've got a USB-C to USB-C cable and USB-A to USB-C cable. And that's just for plugging in and charging and things like that. I'm going to put them back in here so I know where they are. Some sweets for the kiddies. Don't eat them, children. I'm being silly. Right, this is where the fun starts. What do we get out first? Let's get out the batteries first because I want to charge them. So this is our battery charge. And like I said, it can charge up to 3 batteries at once. You can also charge things out of the batteries if you want to. It's got an output as well. So what it does is it doesn't charge all the batteries at the same time. It basically gets one full and then gets the next one full and then gets the third one full. Now you might think, oh, that's not very efficient, but if you really think about it, it's much better to head up with a fully charged battery than 3 not very charged batteries. So yeah, it just concentrates the charging on one battery at a time. And these are the same batteries that they use in the DJI Mini 3 Pro as well. So they are interchangeable. So if you're upgrading, you automatically get more batteries. So I'm going to leave that over there charging away while I get this out. Those thumbsticks are pretty short, but the thumbsticks are actually on the back and you screw them in position. So yeah, this is a controller. It's got little fold out antennae like that. So you need to have them folded out and sort of pointing in the general direction of the drone for the most stable video recording. So yeah, you've got your left and right thumbstick controls here. And that's the power button. And I know this switches between cinema, normal and sport. Cinema slows things right down, so you know you can get those smooth cinematic tracking shots. normal is normal, and sport makes things a lot quicker. I'm not going to be touching sport to start with until I'm fully happy with how everything works. And also, I think in sports mode, all the obstacle avoidance and stuff is turned off. So yeah, that's a big no-no for me. So we've got some dials here, we've got a record button, we've got a photo button. I'm learning, it's all learning with you. And we've got C1 and C2 button here. I think you can program what these do. I'm just going to leave them default for now. I am going to put this on charge as well because it needs charging. But at the bottom, we've got the USB-C charging slot, and also we've got the SD card slot. As I said, you don't need to have an SD card in this. It's just useful, I guess. So there we go. This is charging now. Screw these guys in. There you go. So you hold things on by one press and then a long press. There we go. So let's go through the process. English. Yes, make sure you read all of those. Agree. So we are in the United Kingdom. And get it on my Wi-Fi. Bear with me. Right, okay, well, we're not in Beijing. Where is... I'm going in the wrong direction. There we go. Where is it? There we are, London. Right, yes. That's the right date and time. Log in. Okay, well, I don't have an account yet, so I'm going to quickly make an account. Right, activate the device. I will activate my device. Okay, so it's got some screen gestures. So back, swipe horizontally from the edge of the screen to return to the previous screen. So there we go. Left dial adjusts the gimbal tilt. Right dial adjusts the camera zoom. Ooh. So yeah, top buttons there. Press record to record video. Press shutter. Hard press to autofocus. Full press to take photo. Lovely. Return to home. Aha. So press and hold to enable smart return to home. That's what that button is. And brake. Press to pause flight and hover. And yep, like I said before, switching flight modes. This one, and obviously that's power. So you can customize what the C1 and C2 buttons do, and it tells us, so that's our status LED, so solid red, aircraft not connected, solid green, aircraft connected, or solid yellow, firmware update failed. Cool. And there we go. Got some more status indicators. And yeah, it's just telling you how to best position things. Nice. Does seem to be running some sort of Android behind it. Oh yeah, get a cool video. It currently says I'm in a recommended zone, so that is good. Okay, well now it wants me to connect to the aircraft, so I guess that means we've got to get it out. Now this does already have the third battery installed. Let's move that out of the shot because it makes the screen go a bit weird. It makes the colours go a bit weird because of the bright screen. There she is. So it comes with this sort of safety strap that keeps everything together. Wait, there we go. And also this is the gimbal guard. This protects the gimbal and some of the sensors and stuff when you are traveling. So you keep this on for transport, but you take it off for flying. So here is our tiny camera and the gimbal. Just take those protection stickers off. It's no longer being transported. So for those of you who don't know, the gimbal is what keeps the camera sort of steady while you're flying. Swing those propellers round like that, and then these ones come out like that. And there is our drone. Charge to activate the intelligent flight battery for using for the first time. Okay. Now the problem is, with it being a lovely sunny day, it means that things get very hot in this studio, and yeah, the cameras are shutting down because it's really hot. So I'm going to have to try and rattle through this bit a little bit quicker than normal, but we're sort of nearly there. So let's get the controller back on. There we go. So we need to connect and power on the aircraft. So we've unfolded the arms, we've removed the gimbal protector. So there we go, power on the aircraft. So press the power button once and then hold it. There we go. So it's not gonna like suddenly take off, it's just gonna make a few sounds. The lights are gonna flash. And there we go, we're actually connected to the drone. So now we have got to activate it. So it's sort of on the DJI network and everything like that. So we will agree. And I guess it just sends the serial number and my user ID to DJI to activate. And there we go. We are connected. If we want to purchase DJI Care Refresh, we've got to do that in 48 hours. I'm going to do that because if you lose your drone, you get 2 replacements. There's 2-way shipping for repairs on drones. There's water damage cover and also cover if it flies away. I'm gonna skip it for now, but I will do that later because ultimately this is expensive, and if anything happens, I want to be protected. I think it's about £60 for the year, around that. So as ever, there's a software update. So we will get the software update done on both the drone and also the controller. So while the software update's going through, I'm going to thank the people who have subscribed on Facebook or become members on YouTube. And doing that basically helps me get a little bit more money into the channel to buy things like this. So if you want to help support the channel financially, then you can become a subscriber on Facebook or join the channel on YouTube. So yeah, let's shout out all those awesome people who've already joined while all of this is doing an update. So first of all, we've got our Facebook subscriber who is Rebecca. Then over on YouTube and Patreon, we've got our Kip fans who are Matt Lovey's JRC Electrical, For the Burbs, Wayne Cornish, Mike Cass, Rob Lynn, Scott Made a Thing, Michael Wood, and now new, we have Draco MacGyver. Then we've got our Kip Early Birds who are Dean Ball, Sean at Cablesmith Electrical, Wayne's World of Gaming, Tim Salt, Sorcerer Stan, and Mark C. Then I love these people so much. They are Bella Webster, Stead Stickspix, Lawrence, and Scott Kendall. Then we've got our incredible Kip Nutters who are the gorgeous Becky Boobar and the amazing Alan Green. Thank you both so much for being Kip Nutters, and thank you to everyone over on YouTube, Patreon, and Facebook. Anyway, on with the video. There we go, that actually probably took about 20 minutes in real time to do. I guess if you're buying one of these, don't expect that you'll be out and flying sort of immediately, because obviously as well as letting things charge, there's usually always going to be a firmware update. Right, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to power this down and put the memory cards in both the drone and the controller so they're ready to go. Okay. So I think the memory card on the controller faces up and goes in and clicks in position. Let's use a plastic guy to put this in. There we go. Perfect. That's in. And then if we get the memory card, I think on here it goes face down. There we go. Ooh, perfect. Now you will notice that the USB-C socket and the memory card slot aren't sealed. So obviously you shouldn't be flying drones in the rain anyway, but there is no waterproof protection here. So that is really important to bear that in mind. Now obviously it's probably done as a weight saving thing because these drones have got so much technology crammed into them, they want to keep them under the 250 gram limit. So yeah, just bear that in mind. Right, okay, so hopefully now we power on the controller. So short press, long press, and then power on the drone, short press, long press. Hopefully this should turn green. There we go, it's connected. Lovely stuff. There we go, SD card detected, switch storage to location to SD card. Yes, that's what we want, confirm. Do we want standard or larger text? I think standard's okay, my eyes aren't that bad yet. Okay. Perfect. You can actually see the display from the camera pointing at my all my tools and wires and stuff to the side of the desk. So if I use the left wheel here, I can adjust the camera on the gimbal. Can you see that moving? That's really cool. There we go, we can put it straight down so it's looking at the floor. It's actually really nice and slow. It's not sort of too dramatic, and I think, yeah, this one is zooming in. Now the zoom on this is a digital zoom, so you're just zooming in on the screen. You're not actually optically zooming in where the lens is moving and changing position. So you will lose quality when you zoom. Now, obviously, because we're indoors, we can see that the display is telling us that there's only 6 satellites located, which is very bad. You don't want to fly with the such a low number of satellites, because otherwise you just won't have very good control over it. So if we press down there, we've got to recognize the 128 gig memory card, and it's showing that there's actually 2 gigabytes of storage, I think, on the drone. So you can't really record much at all without the memory card. And then we can change what's going on down here. So you can change, this is the photo settings. So you can, wait. Oh, I just pressed the C1 button and that automatically makes the camera drop. But yeah, you can shoot in RAW and JPEG and RAW, and you can put it in auto or pro mode and adjust things. And then, yeah, you can press on this icon here and switch between video mode, do master shots, quick shots, hyperlapses, panoramic things. Right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do now. Let's just go outside. We'll go and cut to me flying, because there's so much to show you in this app and there's so much to do, but I think you want to see it flying, don't you? So yeah, maybe let's go outside and get some flying in. Okay, well, I do apologise for the rather specialist bit of kit that I've got on here. It does look a bit like I'm off to a very special party with whips and chains, but it's essentially got my GoPro on it so I can record what's happening on the remote control and how the controls and things work. So before we get our drone up in the sky, we've got to make sure it's ready to go. And currently at the moment, it's all folded up. So first of all, we've got to take off the gimbal cover. I did take this out the other day and completely forgot to take the gimbal cover off, and then I had a blind panic as to why all the footage looked terrible, and yeah, that was a reason. Let's swing out those, and then let's bring around those. There we go. And look, it's even got a bit of branding on now. Right, okay, so press the power on button once, press and hold again. It is on. There we go. So let's go over here where I'm going to take off from. So I got this little mat guy just so I can take off from a variety of surfaces. Yeah, so it means you can put it down on the grass and it's got a nice safe landing zone. Just turn it around that way actually, so it's facing me. Right, let's go and get the remote control. Okay, so let's power on the remote control. Again, similar to how you power on the drone. Short press, long press and hold. There we go, and it's switching on. Now, rather than you having to watch it through the camera, I will start screen recording so you can see it properly. Now, I just thought that I would show you the sort of takeoff and landing stuff here in my garden, because it's a lot easier to control the environment than being out in the public with members of the public. Now, obviously, if I'm going to take the drone up a bit, I'm going to have to blur things to protect my neighbour's privacy, but we're just going to do a little bit of sort of lowish flying so you can just see generally how the controls work. Lovely stuff. Screen is recording. And there you go, you can see me on the drone's camera. Now, to just make it take off, all we've got to do is press on this little icon here with the circle and the up arrow, and then you just hold down the takeoff button. And what it'll do, it'll make the drone sort of take off and hover about 1.2 meters off the ground. There we go. Hello. So now, as you can see, the drone is just sort of hovering. And I'm going to do something you shouldn't really do, but if I just tap it, you'll see that the picture is still rock solid. That gimbal is amazing. So to land our drone is pretty much the opposite of what we just did to make it take off. So we press this button down and then press land. And now it's beeping and it's landing, and it should land pretty much bang on where it took off from, which it has, which is amazing. Now, obviously, I literally just took it a few meters off the ground and landed it straight back down to where it was. But because it uses GPS and things like that, it will actually, no matter how far away you take it, as long as it's got enough battery life, it will come back to you, and it'll actually warn you and tell you that it has to return now because there won't be enough battery life left otherwise. So do pay attention to that, because you could be fishing your drone out of a pond or a tree if you don't listen to that. So what I'll do now is I'll just show you how the controls work and how you fly the drone. Okay, so let's take it off again. So press and then take off. There we go, drone is up. So it's currently telling us that it's got 92% battery life, which is fine. Right, so let's look at the controls. So pressing this thumbstick up will make the drone go up. I'm doing it really gently. And now pressing this thumbstick down will make the drone go down. Pretty straightforward, nice and slow, nice and gently. Now the controls sort of work based on how far you push them. So I only really gently nudge them then. If you give them full welly, it will go up or it will go down. So it's really good to just be really gentle when you're starting off. Now, if I press the control in this direction to my left, can you see the drone is turning around? It's looking at the cameras. And then if I turn it in the opposite direction, my right, it's spinning round. There we go. So this control on this side, got to be careful because there's fences either side, but if I push it to my left, it just sort of sidesteps. Oh, it's trying to avoid the obstacles. That's why it's going up a bit, because it's trying to avoid the obstacles. And then if we push it to the right, it sort of sidesteps gently to the right. And yeah, it's just being really cautious at the moment because it doesn't want to hit things, which is fine. And then if we pull this control up, it will bring the drone forwards towards me. And then if we push it backwards, it will take the drone back away from me. Pretty straightforward. Let's bring it down a bit. Okay, so we've got some more controls on the controller here. So this is a record button. That's a snapshot button. But we've also got these dials here. So if I turn the dial on the left-hand side, it takes the camera gimbal down so it's looking at the ground. And then if we turn it up, we can tilt it right up to look at the sky. There we go. Let's bring it back down towards me. Hello. And then this side, this is just the zoom. Now it's a digital zoom. So if I press it towards the right, there we go. It's digitally zooming in towards me right now. Ah! And there we go. If I pull it back, it'll go back. Lovely stuff. So on here at the moment, it's currently telling us the height that it's flying at. So it's flying at 1.1 meters. So that's fine. And it's not sort of going any speed at the moment because, you know, speed. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it up a bit, but to protect privacy, I'm going to turn it up so the camera is pointing at the sky, and then I'm just gently going to send it straight up. Now currently it's 37 meters above my house. Now 53 meters above my house. Let's bring this down a bit. There we go. So it's just hovering nicely in the air, and you can just sort of see the sky there and the fields around me. So again, if I press this to the left, it will sidestep to the left. There we go. And then if I do it to the right, it will sidestep to the right. It's pretty mad, isn't it? It's just absolutely rock solid. I'm not touching the controls, and yeah, it's just hovering really nicely. Now, if we want to bring it back home, all we have to do is press the home button and then do return to home and hold it. And now you'll see it making a nice controlled descent down to where it started from. But if we want to stop the landing for whatever reason, we can just tap that. And that will stop the landing, and it's just sort of hovering now. And look, it's actually got a little digital representation of where it wants to land on the map. It knows exactly where it's going to go, which is amazing. Now you might see these red and amber markers around the edges, and that's basically telling you that there's objects there and the drone knows about it. So it knows about the fence on this side here, and is sort of aware of the fence on this side here, but because it's over to that way a little bit more, it doesn't care as much. And if you look here, this little countdown at 19.6 is telling us how long in flight time that's left. Now it updates in real time. It will go down based on the conditions that the drone is flying in at the moment. So if there's a big gust of wind and the drone is struggling a bit, then that time will drop down a bit more. So it's just good to use it as a guide, but you do get about 20 minutes of flying time with one battery, which is all right, really. It's not as much as the half an hour or so that they say in their promotional materials, but it's okay. So I didn't show you what the C1 and C2 buttons do. Now these are programmable. I've kept them at the defaults at the moment. So if we press C1, that should just tilt the gimbal right down to look at the floor. There you go. So it's looking directly at the floor, and it's giving you a little view of where the drone is hovering in relation to the floor. So let's press it again, and that'll bring it back up. And then if we press C2, can you see what it's done there? It's actually switched the gimbal around so it's filming in portrait rather than landscape. So this kind of mode is really good if you film short form content for TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts. It's very smart. Okay, well that gives you a bit of an overview of how it works with the controls and everything like that. It's a really basic, simple overview, but it's one of those nonetheless. Now what I think we'll do now is we'll take it outside and I'll show you some of the pre-programmed drone moves that this can actually do, And yeah, it just shows that you don't have to be an amazing flyer to get some awesome shots. So let's get a little bit away from here where we're not looking in people's back gardens and give this thing a proper fly. Well, I've come to a nearby field to do some of the quick shots that this drone can perform, and it essentially allows you to do some really fancy photography without actually having to be all that competent. I mean, obviously you should be pretty competent to fly a drone, but yeah, sometimes you're not as good as you want to be. So let's do this. So I'm going to go into the film icon up here and then choose quick shots. And our first quick shot is a Dronie. So it's asking me to tap X or draw a box around the subject. So I am the subject. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the drone out a little bit because it's quite in my face at the moment. That'll do. Now it's actually spotted me and put a cross on me, so I can press the cross. And there I am. Okay, so set at a distance of 30 meters, that's okay. So let's do start. And it's going to count down and then it's going to perform. Perfect, so it has performed a Dronie. Now let's change it to something else. So now let's do a rocket. I'm going to choose me as the subject. There we go, and we'll set it to an altitude of 40 meters. Let's do that. So now let's try a circle. So click on me and we can choose which way round it's going to go. That way round is fine, so we press start and it will circle. 3, 2, 1. Now it's actually really smart in that it does a little sort of nod when it's finished the maneuver, so you know without looking at the remote control that it's actually done recording, so that's pretty cool. Right, let's try something else now. Now this one is Helix. So we'll choose me again and let's do a Helix. Ready? Let's go. So now we're going to do a boomerang. I like the boomerang. It's pretty self-explanatory really, but let's do a boomerang. Let's go. For this final one, the Asteroid, I'm going to go from a different direction because otherwise it will be filming over all my neighbours' houses, which isn't really cool. So we're going to go back out towards that way, which is fields. So that's perfectly fine. So yeah, it's picking me up. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. So those quick shots are just really quick ways of making some really awesome drone video. And you don't necessarily have to have it circling a person. You can draw a box around a house, a monument, a park, literally anything. It will track on to whatever you draw a box on. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward and very simple to use. So now I'm going to show you a quick example of ActiveTrack, and I've drawn a box around James and it's picked him up, and we're going to put the ActiveTrack on auto mode, and once we set it off, it tracks along with James really beautifully. I'm really happy with it. Now, just to prove that the object avoidance isn't 100% infallible, yeah, I did a bit of ActiveTrack here with James, and I could see the drone very much heading into a tree. And yeah, I had to sort of stop the ActiveTrack and get the drone out of the tree using some delicate controls and flight. But, you know, these sensors can never be 100% perfect. Now, something I'm going to quickly show you is, it's really hard to sort of think about how high the drone is and what that looks like from the ground. So I'm going to take the drone up to some varying heights, and you can see exactly what it looks like from the drone's view. So I think what I'll do is I'll go up to about 20 meters, 50 meters, and then the maximum, which is 120 meters. Now, obviously, when you're flying over property and things like that, you should be keeping 50 meters above it, really, for privacy reasons and all that stuff. We're in a field at the moment, so it's fine. There are a few people walking around the perimeter of the field with their dogs, but we're not going to disturb them too much. We're just going to be sort of focusing on me and this area. So yeah, let's take the drone up to 20 meters. Let me just make it so you can see the floor. There we go. So let's go up to 20 meters. I should start appearing in the shot in a second. There I am. So there we go. We're hovering at 20 meters. That's what 20 meters looks like. Let's go up to 50. There we go. So it's up at 50 meters now. I'm a little speck on the floor. Let's make me even more specky on the floor. Climbing up now to 100 meters. There we go, 100 meters up. The drone's a little bit hard to see now, but I can see it okay. So let me just do a little walk. Amazing. Right, let's go right up. Let's bring it with me actually. Just tracking me across the field a bit more. There we go, I'm in the center of the shot. And let's go to the maximum we're permitted to go, which is 120 meters. There we go, it's warning me that it's at the maximum altitude, and that is me from 120 meters. Right, I've dropped it to 100 meters. Let's just go across, and so you can get an idea of how scenery and things look at 100 meters from the ground. Got a nice shot of the trees, love that. There's someone walking around the field. Gorgeous. And just to give you an idea of how landscape scenes look at different heights, I've just got a few bits of footage here where firstly where I'm flying the drone at 50 meters off the ground. And now I'm flying it 100 meters off the ground. And then finally, we're 120 meters off the ground, the maximum height you're allowed to go in the UK at least. So there you go. Anyway, I think the battery's about to run out. Okay, so our battery level's a little bit low, so it's flying back home. Let's go and meet it. So this actually gives a really good example of it returning to home. You can see that it's going to where it's going to on the map. It's going to that little H spot. So it should just land directly in front of me now. Thankfully the grass here on this bit of path is nice and short, so we shouldn't have any problems. There we go. It's coming into land. Well, there you go. That is a very quick overview of my DJI Mini 4 Pro. So we've seen how to unbox it, how to set it up, how to control it, and sort of some of the basics of flying and the quick shots. But obviously there's a lot more that this drone can do, and I don't think I have tapped into its full potential yet. Not even close. So I think what's probably best for me to do is just to kind of get out there and use it, and then hopefully I can come back with some more hints and tips and show you things that I've discovered, and yeah, we can go from there. So if you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you give it a like and maybe put in the comments any other things you'd like to see. And if you watched this bit of the video, put in the comments the words cabbage patch. That's the word cabbage patch. I want to make sure you're paying attention. Anyway, I don't think I've got anything else to say, so thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, but for now, it's game over.